Well, bullying comes under the art of murder. And it involves basically 5 groups of demonic forces that back them up as bullying has the effect of always wanting to make you silent. And if you've been bullied and you try to explain that to somebody else, they won't believe you. Well, that can't be going on in the school, or that can't be going on at the playground, or that can't be going on anywhere, at work, at church. But it does. And the lead in bullying is called the demon of cruelty. And what it does is that it convinces the person that it's controlling to be cruel to others in order to find pleasure within oneself. Yeah? You know, once you start looking at getting pleasure out of hurting somebody, you seek to dehumanize them so that your conscience won't bother you. Well, they're just a dog anyway, or they're not, they're just a chunk of meat. They don't count for anything. You'll dehumanize them. But that spirit of dehumanization is a support for cruelty. Because you don't have to defend yourself against doing it or say no to it. You just do whatever the demon tells you to do. And the thing is that we often will look back at things that happened in our childhood and know that we were bullied and not turn that over. So that pain and hurt stays an active part of who we are. And it makes us to make very unwise decisions. The next is terrorization. Under cruelty, you'll notice the terrorist isn't concerned about who he hurts, how many innocent people get killed. He has this joy about destroying things. And when you're young, this terrorization spirit he gets a joy out of preventing you from achieving anything. You start saying, well, I can't do this, I can't do that, or I'm no good at this. I don't want to try that in case I fail. Well, that's part of the terrorization. Taking your rights away. That is what the government has done with COVID. That's what they've done with the Income Tax Act. To terrorize you. Taking your rights away and stagnating you. The next demon that supports cruelty and bullying is intimidation. And this one people don't realize they're trying to intimidate another person. It's, what should we say, they get lulled into this thing, well, I'm being corrective or I'm being supportive. And that's not what they're doing. If somebody jumps into your face and starts yelling at you, they're trying to intimidate you. If somebody goes behind your back and starts talking to this one and this one and this one and this one about you, they're trying to intimidate you. They're trying to break all your friends and support away so that you have to obey them and their intimidation tactic. You know, they're bullying you. You'll see bosses, they'll yell and scream at their employees, but never sit down to explain what it is they actually want done and why it's needed to be done this certain way at this interval. And then they can't figure out why their people quit on them. Well, you can only take so much intimidation. And then it starts affecting your health. And when it affects your health, what happens? High stress.
And you don't say no to things.
You don't say no, but with intimidation, you want to run to comfort foods when you've been intimidated through bullying. You know, you want to get drunk for the weekend so you can release that stress or you don't have to think about anything. You want to get stoned. Well, maybe we should say drug-induced hysteria, because stoning does mean that they take you out into the street and throw stones at you till you're dead, but you know, may not be the things that you want to advocate. The next demon in the list is pain. The demon pain will create pains in you. Sometimes it's around your heart, sometimes it's in the shoulders, in the back, knees, feet, so that you are concentrating on yourself and not realizing that you are being bullied by that demon and by people that are trying to hurt you into being able to defend yourself with the Word of God. Then we have the demon maliciousness. And they say, oh, we were just playing a joke on you. But it's really hurtful. You know, damaging, or it costs you money because they've destroyed something. Like these 120 people that got captured in Toronto for taking these converters out of the bottom of the cars. Well, we were just playing a joke on people. They could buy them back through our company and we'll reinstall them for a price. And that was a joke. That was cruelty in action. But you were being bullied by their action. Maliciousness does other little things besides pretending to make jokes. When a wife blackmails her husband, or the husband blackmails the wife into doing something, that's through the spirit of maliciousness that comes through cruelty and bullying. When a teacher singles out a child and declares how stupid they are because they won't accept the new transgender rules, that is bullying. But it's also maliciousness. They're acting in a malicious way because they're under pressure. And when they're under pressure, they don't think. Too much stress is involved. Policemen are often carry on this cruelty, maliciousness in a bullying fashion. And we had a couple of senior ladies used to live about 3 blocks away. And they'd heard somebody trying to break in downstairs, and they called the police. And the police came and on one of the ladies stomped on both their hands. They were all crippled with arthritis, and they stomped on their hands. And the lady went into shock, and 8 or 10 days later died. Never came out of shock. But that was a malicious act under cruelty. But bullying, they didn't, until they had to harass these women, these 2 seniors. I think both of them were over 85 years old. Did they search the house and found where the window had been broken in the basement? But that's malicious behavior. When they stop you, they tell you get out of your vehicle and put your hands behind you and look the other way. Well, they stash drugs to charge you with because they can't find anything else. They're on a fishing trip and they charge you with drug distribution. Well, what's that? That's part of that cruelty under bullying and maliciousness. The next is called shocking. And this demon you find them when there's a lot of racial prejudice. They'll do things to the other person. Let's say they find out this person has to leave for a very important appointment right at 4 o'clock. So they go and flatten all his tires. Or they take the battery out of his vehicle. So he's got to spend money on a cab, if he can get one, to get to the appointment. And then has to come back by cab and arrange to get his vehicle fixed. And they think that's a big joke. But that's bullying and cruelty at work. The next thing that cruelty brings in is a need to humiliate people. And it may be humiliation of going out and shouting them down while they're trying to talk. It could be they go and, while they're carrying something, they trip them. All the little things to humiliate. Another thing that has become more common is they go and they pull a person's pants off, pull them down, and when they're in a public area. There was, in New York, they got a problem with this type of cruelty humiliation. Is they'll go and throw feces in another person's face. And it's very common in the jails. If you don't follow the gang rules in the jail, they'll do that. Throw feces at you all the time. Guards won't do a thing. But if you stand up and for yourself, or you go into solitary confinement, not the person that threw the feces.
That's a very common thing. This guy who gets abused that wants to finally retaliate but always gets in trouble. That's
Yeah.
a long time.
He's got to pay the penalty for what the others have done.
Yeah.
And the guards will stand there and watch it happen and say nothing.
That's cruelty in itself.
That's what the whole cruelty is, so, you know. But it's the bullying technique to get control of you. And that's what the demons want to do through you, to attack others and have others attack you. So this is part one. And we have to realize that all bullying, from whatever manner it comes in, is that it's demons at the charge of it. The person that's under this bullying technique has lost control to the demons. They're the slave of a demon, possessed. Otherwise, bullying would not take place. But it's a turnover item because nearly everyone has been bullied when they were going to school. In some cases, they're bullied at churches. Everybody will turn their back on them. They go to talk to somebody and everybody turns their back and doesn't want to hear anything they say.
The shunning,
It's forms of shunning, but that is bullying.